3. Nobody in there. But the gag is, look how many nail shops I went to in less, it ain't even been 10 minutes. It's not even 10 minutes away. Look it. This is the last one. Ain't nobody there. Ain't nobody hanging out.
Boycott Asian businesses. Look, I know many people are angry. They think justice needs to be served. So they want to boycott Asian businesses. I know emotions are high, and if this is how you think there's going to be some justice, okay, I'm okay with it. But then when does it end? When is it, okay, we've boycotted Asian businesses enough, justice is served, now let's move on. I just personally don't think this is the solution. If anything, it produces more tension, creating some unnecessary race war. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of Asian business owners that are like, what happened? Where's all my black customers? They're just trying to make a living. They're just trying to make money. Now, what's the answer? I don't know. If you have any productive recommendations, please comment below. But personally, I just don't think boycotting Asian businesses achieves anything.
Just a reminder to other Asians, when the black community says that they're going to boycott Asian businesses, that's not them being racist. They're literally just asking us to give them the respect that they rightfully deserve. There's a lot of anti-blackness in the Asian community, and I'm sick of seeing it. We're all sick of seeing it. And the black community knows that all Asians aren't racist. It's just that these Asian businesses need to be reminded that they literally profit off of the black community.
And so what if black people are boycotting Asian businesses? If that's what it takes to wake our community up, more power to them. And I really need Asians to wake the fuck up. Because I am tired of getting on this app every business week and having to talk about some fuck shit that some Asian person is doing to black people. There's so many other things I want to talk about on this app. Domestic violence prevention, mosquito brains, because that's what I got my PhD in. My writing process and how I write sci-fi novels and how I write, yes, the small business that I run because I write the sci-fi novels. But instead, no, I always see some Asian doing some model minority stuff, and then I feel a moral imperative to talk about it because it ends up in the death of innocent people like Cyrus Carmack Belton. I am sick of watching our country slide into fascism and watch the Asian vote be split because so many of us want to ally ourselves with our oppressors. And in my personal life, I'm tired of not being able to trust Asian people that I meet because so many of you would throw Asian people under the bus for white acceptance. And on top of that, a number of my friends are black people, and I don't want to have anybody in my life who is unsafe for my friends. Model minority Asians are unsafe for Asians to be around as well, and they are potentially lethal for black people. I don't want that in my community. Get that out. And if these Asian stores close, like the ones that opened up in black neighborhoods, and then complain about black people being there and do racist things to them and profile them, let the stores close. Y'all don't deserve to be there. Have some respect. I know Asian people love money, so black people withholding their dollars might actually get through some of your thick skull.
All I'm saying is that if you are Asian, before you should even be asking the question about who gets to decide who gets to boycott Asian-owned businesses, we need to be having the conversations in our own spaces about whether or not anti-black racism needs to be addressed and have those uncomfortable conversations within our communities. Because I have been doing this for years, right? Have you been doing that? Before you decided to come online and post a video being like, oh, Black Americans are such hypocrites, which they are not. They have a right. Like, they have an absolute right because we do have rampant anti-Black racism. And before we are willing, like, we need to be willing to take accountability for that before we get to decide whether or not.
I told you all, when just people thought that they could just walk over black people and get away with the consequences, they thought it's a joke. Right now, Asian Americans are bleeding and crying with black Americans, and they want to talk. They want black people. They want to negotiate with black people in regards to, the protest that amid's going on right now. There are so many stores. There are so many Asian stores that are empty, and there's just. It's not that I'm celebrating that Asians are not selling anything, but what I'm trying to celebrate here is that I'm seeing black people waking up. I'm seeing black people saying something and doing it. This is one of the most spectacular things that I'm seeing happening right now. This is history just happening. And people gotta learn how to treat black people, because you can't just be messing up things thinking that it will be business as usual. I mean, it doesn't work that. It doesn't work like that. It has always never worked like that. So it is high time people understand to treat black people with accord, at least to recognize the role that they are playing. You get to understand that all these Asian businesses were going well until they stepped on the feet of black people. That's when they realized that no, it's not business unusual. So all the business owners are coming out. Asians are waking up to the realization that indeed that they cannot do it by themselves and they need black folks. So the reality is hitting back at home when they are getting to see the truth that they should have so long time ago. But yes, here they are. They're learning their lessons. And the most important thing is that black people have said it and they have done it exactly how it should have been done. So brothers and sisters, I don't know what you all think about this, but this, to me, sounds just like a good message. Sounds exactly like what should have been done like a long time ago. This is a message to all any other group of people that will come to the United States and just think that, you can just walk over black people. You can just do anything to black people and just get away with it. It doesn't work like that. So I hope majority of you all get to learn how all these things work, how all these things go, and get to understand that you cannot come in the United States and just do the things the way you want. The anti-blackness that black Americans have always been trying to complain to you, that have always been trying to tell you, you all thought that it was a joke until it happened to you. So brothers and sisters, thank you for taking your time. Thank you for always tuning in and watching my videos. I just want to say that if you're watching me for the first time, I'm asking you to please subscribe to the channel, join the membership, and really get to see what I can offer you. For those always coming back watching my videos, but I'm really, really grateful for all the support that you all give me. Until then, I want us to watch this video, then I'm gonna be back. I'll be giving my 2 cents in regards to this. So stay tuned. I'll be back.
Anybody should be boycott. Also, it's not even our decision who gets to boycott. Our role, right? And everybody has different roles under systemic oppression, and something happens, is what can I do in solidarity instead of looking at this situation as an us versus them problem? If you're still looking at it from the lens of an us versus them problem, then you are on Rick Chow's side. And I know that people can say like, oh, well, you know what? Like I have such a diverse spectrum of ideas and I see things differently. But when it comes to systemic oppression in a world that is made to be black and white, then if you are going to look at this boycotting situation as, oh, you shouldn't boycott us, why should we have to pay for the sins of this one guy? Like, that's not like the systemic playbook, right? Like when one person does harm, or even if it's a few people doing harm, right? Like if you think about like slavery in the South, even if it was just a few people, a few families running the whole thing, okay? The systemic issue is still the fact that everybody inherited these core belief systems about certain marginalized groups of people, and we are still perpetuating these ideas, right? Like the issue is that our ideologies are still there, right? And until we're able to address that, why are we even thinking immediately like, oh, actually, I'm going to argue about boycotting, when you should be looking at yourself in a mirror and being like, hey, I realize that I'm contributing, my community is contributing. How have I seen anti-black racism manifest in Asian spaces? Like, why are these conversations so difficult to have? I don't know. But they need to be had, right? They exist. They exist. People are doing it, some people are not. But when it comes to the question of solidarity, are you for or against? And if you are for, then have the conversations first before you decide who gets to boycott if you are an Asian person.
I've seen a few comments like this with, Asians and black people fighting in my comment section. And honestly, it shows how little we actually talk about the history behind all of this. The tension didn't just magically appear. It was shaped by decades of laws, segregation, stereotypes, and political narratives that pushed our communities apart. When Asian immigrants first came to the US, they weren't allowed to live just anywhere. Segregation forced them into Black and brown neighborhoods because those are the only areas open to anyone who wasn't white. So Asians and Black Americans were physically close, but not always connected. Different languages, different histories, limited communication, misunderstandings grew out of that. Then in the 1960s, during the Civil Rights Movement, the US created the model minority myth. The idea that Asian Americans were successful, quiet, and proof that racism doesn't exist. That stereotype was never meant to lift Asians up. It was meant to contrast Asians against Black Americans and basically say, see, like they're doing fine, why can't you? It was a political tool that built resentment and pressure on both sides, even though neither community created that narrative. At the same time, anti-Blackness already existed in some Asian cultures because of colonialism, colorism, and Western media influence. And for some Black Americans, their only interactions with Asians were through local businesses, corner stores, nail salons, restaurants, situations that were transactional, not relational. That created frustration and stereotypes on both sides. But here's the thing. In both communities, it's only a small handful of people who are actually hateful or racist. A few loud, ignorant individuals do not represent millions of us. We can't let the worst examples define entire communities. Then COVID hit and all of this got amplified again. Anti-Asian hate skyrocketed. Elderly Asians were attacked, harassed, and blamed for the virus, all because of fear and political scapegoating. Some of the viral videos showed attackers who were Black, and suddenly that tiny number of incidents turned into a whole narrative online like Black people hate Asians, which was inaccurate and unfair. What people forget is that Black activists and Black organizations publicly stood with Asian communities during that time. People protested for us. They protected Asian elders. They spoke out against the hate. But the media rarely highlighted the solidarity, only the violence. And yes, some Asians responded by generalizing those incidents and blaming the entire Black community, which made things even worse, even though the majority of Black people had nothing to do with those attacks. COVID didn't create new racism. It exposed what was already unaddressed and made stereotypes louder because everyone was scared and hurting. But amid all of that, we forget that historically there has also been real solidarity. Asian American activists learned organizing strategies from Black civil rights leaders. Filipino and Black farm workers united under Larry Itliong and Cesar Chavez. Japanese American activists stood with the Black Panthers. Yuri Kochiyama worked alongside Malcolm X. In Oakland, Black and Asian communities built programs together to fight poverty and injustice. These are real alliances. They just don't get talked about as much as the conflicts. That's why we need to zoom out. Like, a handful of ignorant people shouldn't define entire communities. A bad experience shouldn't turn into a stereotype. We shouldn't let old narratives and old wounds be recycled and divide us again. Asians and Black people have both faced discrimination, exclusion, violence, and being treated like outsiders. We have more in common than we think, and when we work together, there's real power, real healing, and real progress. We just have to stop letting fear, stereotypes, and misinformation talk louder than the history and solidarity we actually come from.
Proximity to whiteness in the Asian community needs to be denounced at any term. Many of us are forgetting the history between the Black and Asian solidarity, and these things are important things to combat systemic racism around here in US. Ho Chi Minh also wrote a book of why Black people are the most oppressed people in the United States. It's because they were lynched, and especially that they had to deal with so many systemic racism. We are seeing too many white people are weaponizing the Asian community, and that's why we have anti-Blackness in our culture. And for that reason, it's time for us to decenter whiteness.
In 1991, South Central LA, a 15-year-old Black girl named Latasha Harlins put a juice bottle back on a counter and turns to leave. A Korean store owner shoots her in the back of her head. Her sentence, probation, 0 jail time. In 2023, Columbia, South Carolina, a 14-year-old Black boy named Cyrus Carmack Belton puts water bottles back in a cooler. The Asian store owner chases him down the streets and shoots him in the back. Last week, a jury found him not guilty. 2 Black children, 2 shots to the back, 2 acquittals, 32 years apart, with the same verdict.
I love when the Black community says, let's boycott Asian businesses. Please do. We'll get rid of the Chinese takeout, the dry cleaners, the laundromats. Let's get rid of the liquor stores as well. Get rid of the Jordans you guys wear, the Nikes you wear, the shower caps, the Hondas, the Hyundais, all your car electricians. You guys want us to leave the neighborhood so bad? Oh, Asian people are in our neighborhoods? We're in white neighborhoods. We have our own Chinatown. We have our own Koreatown. You think we really need you guys to benefit off and make money? A lot of us do go to college as well. You're being outworked by immigrants who barely speak English. And you're not embarrassed? Go to the bank, start your own businesses, and deal with your own people. I want to see your own women get on their hands and knees and do pedicures and manicures and deal with nasty ass attitudes, okay?
So immediately, the familiar friction boils over. Black rage met with the Asian community defense. But why is this happening? It's the predictable result of a psychological trap engineered by white supremacy. So with all of this history and all this tension, how can this be your response to black people being upset that black children are dying in our own communities by the hand of someone else? In 1964, black people won the Civil Rights Act. That sacrifice opened doors of immigration for every non-white group that followed. But white power doesn't just give up. It adapts. 1 year later, a white sociologist coined and weaponized the phrase, the model minority. It was brilliant, cruel, calculated. White supremacy held up Asian Americans as the good minorities to discredit black demands for justice. But it did something deeper. It dangled a false carrot. It made parts of the Asian community believe that if they worked hard enough, they could achieve closeness to whiteness. That juxtaposition is exactly what fused attention today. By chasing the illusion of white proximity, some within the Asian community, not all, some, began to amplify the very anti-blackness used to oppress them. They accepted the role of the middleman minority. White banks refused to give us money. They redlined black people, black neighborhoods, but they gave Asian people and Asian immigrants loans on one condition: put your stores in black neighborhoods, not white ones, because we still don't want to see you in our neighborhood. White capital positioned them as an economic buffer zone. They take the black dollar, absorb the community's daily anger, and send the wealth right back upstream to white corporations. So yes, you very much need black dollars. And there's a complete lack of education on why you exist in juxtaposition to black communities while engaging in the same anti-blackness that you would hope grant you access to white communities that turn around and remind you you're not one of them. Imagine coming online with that accent in America, telling the people who built the country to just go to the banks and get loans without knowing the history of the place you're in, or that your grandparents got loans by the United States Banking Corporation to spite black people, to say, hey, we're not going to give you shit, but we're going to give these people because, and we're going to tell them that they're better than you. And when you buy into the myth that you are closer to whiteness, you begin to police black people's bodies just like the white system does, because you think that's what you're supposed to do. Some of the very people who benefited from black civil rights fight chose to feed the same system impacting all of us. But that's the funny thing about these minorities, like some Asians, some Latinos for Trump, who want to be white. White supremacy will never truly accept you. You'll truly never be one of them, but you still try your darndest. When you profit from the back dollar while looking down on black life and history, to me, you're worse than the people who set the systems up themselves, because you're doing free labor to uphold it. And don't get me wrong here. The system is to blame for pitting two groups against each other. But one group has been screaming from the mountaintops that you were trying to tether yourself to this white supremacist idea of what it means to be American, and they'll never see you as such. And when the courts keep telling us a black life is worth less than a bottle of water each decade, how dare you have the audacity to bitch and moan about black anger? You're proving the point. Stay black, stay blessed.
Blacks and Asians don't get along. That's what you've been taught. Here's one reason why. In 1955, 5 Asian countries held a conference of African and Asian nations. They gathered representatives of 29 former Western colonies in Bandung, Indonesia. These countries all shared similar concerns. Now self-governed, they saw Western powers doing their best to sideline them on the international stage. They knew former colonizers would never treat them as equal partners. They had to build their own alliances and power. The Bandung Conference resulted in a declaration of economic and cultural cooperation, self-determination, and peaceful coexistence among participating nations. They refused to play into the Cold War and other Western power struggles, instead focusing on their own growth. It worked for a while. The US, wanting to cultivate a reputation for freedom, stayed largely uninvolved. Asian and African nations began rebuilding their industries suppressed under colonial rule. But then, as the Cold War heightened, Russia declared an anti-colonial stance, and JFK feared that the rebellious post-colonial leaders that had defied Europe would align with the USSR. Through direct CIA interference and political pressure, the US began to destabilize governments, installing leaders friendly to US military and economic goals. They also disseminated propaganda that painted regimes unaligned with the US as backwards, corrupt, and untrustworthy allies. 2 more Bandung conferences were held, held in 2005 and 2015. In them, Asian and African nations continue to develop stronger financial ties, including the declaration of a new Asian-African strategic partnership. And Western governments and companies continue to exert political, financial, and propaganda pressure on countries across post-colonial Asia and Africa.
What was your question about the...
How are black people and Asian people getting along? What's going on there? I'm not getting...
What are you talking about?
I'm just seeing...
Yeah, I'll tell you the history of it.
Okay.
Okay? For many, many years, Asians would open up liquor stores in urban areas, right? Mm-hmm. And then, accuse them of shit.
Accuse who?
Well, the Asians would accuse the black people of shit.
Of what, like taking now and laters and stuff?
Yeah, or no browsing.
Oh, yeah.
And you touch, you buy.
Oh,
that kind of shit. It's like, bitch, I want to pick up my candy bar and look at the fucking, calorie count and shit.
Yeah.
Right? So they would do that, black people, and they would go, you touch, you buy. Or you browse in liquor stores. You don't just go in and go right to the Kit Kats.
Let me just start by saying rest in peace to Cyrus Carmack Belton, who was unalived by Rick Chow. And Rick Chow got off, was acquitted. I'm already hot about that, okay? That is the springboard with a lot of the reason why there's so much outrage by the black community and why a lot of people in the black community are saying we're boycotting Chinese businesses, all right?
Just wanted to give y'all a friendly update. Cajuns is slow. It is at lunchtime. People are not playing about boycotting right now. I do love Cajuns, but I'm a boycott with my people. I've had no bad experiences there, and this whole strip is still slow. Y'all think it's a game. Y'all better wake the fuck up. Okay? Very, very slow. Y'all know this strip usually be packed.
Y'all come with me on this good Saturday morning, and let's see how this Asian beauty store, nail store, food store boycott is going since they dared us, since they said they want to see us not support them, since we need them so much. This is what I saw at the first stop. They standing outside. They like, where the black people at? So I rolled over to the next place where I usually shop here. I'm not even gonna lie, this is my favorite place for the last 10 years. But let me show you, this is not normal on a Saturday morning. No, ma'am. All of it over there is usually filled, okay? It's even usually going into other people's parking spaces, businesses parking spaces. This is not normal, y'all. So good job. Even the nail salon down the street is empty. It was a few coons in there, but for the most part, empty.
We need to invest in our community, invest in our black-owned establishments. That's what we need to do. All right. Now, I'm just going to talk about, because, I'm going to put my accounting hat on for a second. So please indulge me. All right. And I'm going to talk about our spending power as black people, because I think it's very important that we know this. All right. So let's just get into this. Please indulge me for a second here, because we as black people have major economic power. All right. That's why I started with Black Americans have economic power. You see the stars, you see the exclamation mark. So let's just talk about Black America's spending power. 1.8 trillion in annual spending power. And this was just as of 2024. 48 million plus Black Americans are driving the economy. All right. 200 plus billion in Black-owned businesses potential by 2030. Okay, this is the growth. We are one of the most influential consumer markets in the world. Did you hear what I said? In the world. Okay, our dollars, our community, our future. What happens when we...
My issue with the idea of boycotting Asian businesses is that boycotts need an end game. They need a goal that you're trying to reach. And the Asian American community is so diasporic, by which I mean they are so not united, both by lines of nationality, but also by lines of class and caste, that unless your explicit goal is just, we don't want any Asian businesses in black neighborhoods, then I don't think there's anything to be gained. First things first, fuck Rick Chow. Anything he owns should be boycotted, and any businesses that would do business with him should also be boycotted. Think about some of the biggest boycotts you know of. In a pre-Emancipation Proclamation world, groups of formerly enslaved people would travel across Europe to tell people, do not buy American cotton. I was formerly enslaved. This is my story. Your clothes are being made with cruelty. If you think about the Montgomery bus boycott, until these buses are no longer segregated, we are going to drain this city of its resources to reach this goal. You think about the Palestine boycotts, right? We do not want to do business with any endeavor that is enabling a genocide, or even the more recent Target boycotts, where it's saying this business in response to this administration has removed their DEI initiatives and has taken black products off the shelves. If you're going to interact with black people that way, we will not be purchasing at your stores until you turn things around. If the end game of boycotting Asian businesses is to send a message about black safety and black exploitation to the Asian community, the problem is that the Asian community is a lie of white supremacy. They got multi-century beefs running, all right? Sometimes the lighter-skinned East Asians don't fuck with the darker-skinned East Asians or the darker-skinned Southeast Asians. On top of that, whether or not they even consider Arab folk or South Asian folk to be Asian at all. And to put the cherry on top of all of this, all of these places still engage in deeply anti-black behaviors. It's not inseparable. So in summary, I think there is a valid emotional response, right? Our generation feeling the exact same pain with Cyrus Carmack Belton that the generations 3 decades ago felt upon hearing about the murder of Latasha Harlins in LA. I, however, think that all of that emotion and that anger and that like righteous indignation getting directed towards this idea of just, oh, we'll just boycott Asian businesses won't lead to black safety, and I think is only just a temporary vent for frustration. Now, unfortunately, I don't know what this looks like or what this action looks like, but it's clear that the action needs to be a community response that says outwardly to everyone, we will not engage with people who see us, our people, our communities, and our children as threats. We won't. But I don't think that looks like buying into more white supremacist tropes that, you know, melt a non-united community into being one thing. I don't know what that looks like, but in my head, boycott Asian businesses looks like a month and a half of people not going to some beauty supply shops and it fizzling out.
Boycott all Asian businesses. Let's chat about it. This is a complicated conversation in so many ways because I see angles of possibility from multiple sides. But I always want to side on the side of trying to build bridges of solidarity. If you've never heard me say this before, hi, I say this all the time, but like solidarity is not just a word, it's an action. It's not just a hashtag or on a t-shirt that you would get at a Black Excellence brunch. It's like a real thing that people have to actively work to do. Like deconstructing. You will never be at the end goal of deconstructing. And that's why it's so hard, and that's why people choose to not, or choose to stop, or choose to disengage, because you realize the more you know, the more you don't know, the more questions that need answers, and to continue on the pursuit of critiquing your worldview is an endless process, especially when you're indoctrinated by a very specific system that is invested in blood and money in keeping you in the dark about certain realities. The Black American and the model minority myth conversation is a very deep and nuanced conversation. I actually have a podcast episode about it called Diaspora Wars Are a Bore, where I kind of talk about the model minority myth as it relates specifically to African, Caribbean, West Indian immigrants that came to America post the Immigration Act of 1965. But this can expand to involve any person that benefited from that civil rights legislation because you were used. Like, this is the thing. I'm starting to cry. I'm not crying, but my eyes water up when I'm very passionate about something. It's a thing that happens anyway. But it's like, when we talk about, like, particularly leftists on this app, or people who are always like, you know, I don't know, whatever. We don't have to get into labels. But it's like, when we talk about certain things when it comes to America and its face, its true face, its true ability to morph, American culture, white supremacy, Western civilization in general, it is a truly cunning beast. I made videos a couple weeks ago talking about whether wokeness as we know it has been, you know, infiltrated, whether it was a psyop in layman's terms. And I talked about in that video how the empire doesn't care if you're criticizing the empire, but what you're criticizing ultimately allows what they want to continue. You can have the mask of revolutionary iconography, of revolutionary speech. You can do the Kendall Jenner Pepsi commercial thing, you know, like they will allow that to happen. But if what you're standing and fighting against is what they want you to stand and fight against in general, is it a revolutionary act? Like, this system has been able to continue its existence through many hundreds of years, many different, metamorphoses, many different ways of showing up in order to continue the machine going. So it takes us now in 2026 to be even more cunning, even more critical of what the actual end goals are of certain talking points, because whatever is popularized can be weaponized. The model minority myth as a concept is one of the country's, the society's best works. The idea that post-civil rights movement, successful movement of trying to democratize this country for the people that actually exist here in a real way with legislation and protections, right? And support under the law. It's no coincidence that the Immigration Rights Act of 1965 gets passed and a slew of all sorts of different diverse communities are allowed to immigrate to the United States on the backs of the civil rights movement. Great. That's great. Full stop. We love diversity here. It's the way that Western empires, specifically America, used that to shield itself to come into its new iteration of dominance, which is the model minority myth. A lot of people don't get this, but it's like, it wasn't like everybody come. It was, you were hand selected based on certain things, based on certain privileges in home countries. Were you college educated? All of these things were ways in which America was able to filter who was coming from other nation states. And then, on top of that, indoctrinating them about the African American population that already existed here through their propaganda. But then giving them access to lending and financing and help from the government in ways that Black Americans have been effectively barred from, okay? Like effectively cut at the knees from accessing, on top of Reaganomics, on top of the chemical warfare of the fucking crack epidemic, on top of generational trauma from slavery and redlining and lynchings and all of the things, on top of all the things that got us where we could actually leverage the power to force civil rights legislation through. On top of all that, they sprinkled privileges on the people that came here. And those privileges were then used and propagandized to those communities that had them and weaponized towards the people that have been there and fought for your ass to be here. Do you see how it gets all twisted up? So now America, post all of the civil rights movement, can say, hey, we're multicultural. Hey, look at the Asian people here. They're thriving. Look at the African people here. They're also Black and they're thriving. Look at these communities here in this melting pot. They're thriving. Black Americans, though, they're hopeless. They can't be helped. You know what I mean? They live in filth. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the level of manipulation we're dealing with, where they will flip it and reverse it onto your bitch ass. So in 2026, it becomes imperative of you to be highly critical of the things that sound good, because at the end of the day, those things end up, when they're popularized, they end up being weaponized. And if you're not critical of how that language is going to result in the type of world that's grounded in your specific politic, grounded in empathy, grounded in care, grounded in all of these restorative justice things, all of that kind of thing, if you aren't grounded in that in the first place, what sounds good is attractive. I understand the emotion with the verdict that came out after, Cyrus was murdered. I understand that conviction. But it's also important to think about how that conviction gets weaponized through our current outrage cycles and systems to end up doing what empire exactly wants you to do. Solidarity is extremely heavy lifting. It's work. It's not just something that you can just say you're doing. It's an action. It's activity. It's restorative justice. It's conversations. It's more than that. It's healing. It's a lot of things. It's difficult ass conversations betwixt communities that have actively been pitted against each other to distract those communities from who the real monster is. A boycott with no demands isn't a boycott. And until we get our demands straight, it's deeper than capitalism and where we spend our dollar, which is often where a lot of us stop. It's more than just going to a different store or buying Black owned. It's about dismantling the system of capitalism, which requires solidarity amongst many groups. It doesn't support, you cannot do this without being in community with people who are different than you. So when you have situations like this that arise, these conversations are deeper than any monetary value. It's intrinsic, it's soul, it's human value. It's something that capitalism cannot quantify because it doesn't compute for it, which is why it's so powerful. Power to the people. Solidarity is demanding. It's deeper. It requires more from you than boycotting your dollar, but still spending it. You see what I mean? We need to heal the fracturing We do. And that takes a lot of fucking work, a lot of deep work.
Change your heart, change your mind, change your actions. Racism is a choice, people. I don't care if you've been taught that blacks are bad. When you start to experience people individually on your own, that changes. It changes. Because you know all black people can't be bad, just like I know all white people can't be bad. All Asian people can't be bad. All Latino people can't be bad. All Pakistani people can't be bad. All Indian people can't be bad. Like, that is a given. But you choose what you want to hold on to because it justifies your bad behavior. I don't know about anyone else, but with regards to this the boycott of Asian businesses by black patrons, if you are so afraid to the point of murder or taking a life, if you're so afraid, why open a business in a community that you're that afraid of? I'm sure you've done the research. I live in the Chicagoland area, and I'm just curious as to if I am an Asian business owner who despises black people, why would I then open up a Asian business or open up a business like a beauty supply, for example, in the middle of Inglewood? It's a very impoverished neighborhood. Why would I open up a business there? I don't even like these people. I don't even trust these people. Oh, because that black dollar, it means something. And that also tells me that it's worth the risk to you to open said business in that neighborhood. It's so much worth the risk that you would take it a step further by working with manufacturers and distributors to implement a monopoly of sorts where a beauty supply that is owned by a black business owner will not be able, or it would be difficult for them to purchase and stock their shelves to be competitive with you as a business owner. And you want to know why we are boycotting, or there's a boycott against your business. That's why. If you own a nail salon in a black neighborhood and you don't employ not a black nail tech, not a one, and even if you do, she or he is so mistreated that they're forced to leave. I know that for a fact. I've seen black techs get mistreated in the shop. I've witnessed that with my own two eyeballs. So it's these mom and pop shops, these small businesses that are going to hurt, because this black dollar is extremely powerful. And when we remove that from the business equation, that hurts your livelihood, literally. So change your mind,
Change your heart, change your mind, change your action through education, through respect, and through understanding. And that's how you get your business back up and running and off the ground in the Black community. Understand it. Understand why you are able to have a business and a Black business owner can't. In the same community. To do with the same thing, same business model. This is 2026. Doesn't take a rocket science to come up with a business plan. We have AI for that. So, yeah, we're not stupid. We're not dumb. We're not criminals. No more, no less than you or any other race is. Racism is a choice. Do better.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you are doing super great from wherever you're watching this video from. As you know, I'm your host and presenter, Agent Story. It is always a beautiful day that God has granted unto us, and I'm always grateful for everything. I don't take everything for granted, but I'm always grateful for every single thing. Now, brothers and sisters, it is indeed an important part, an important time in human history where we are getting to see Black people single-handedly rewrite the entire history. Rewrite the entire history and teach all this other group of people how to treat them. Because for the longest time, this is something that people have been taking for granted, thinking that you could just get into the United States and just do things the way you want without any consequences. There has to be consequences, because that's when some of you all get to learn how to really treat Black people. So it was really a nice trade that Asians got from Black people, because you can't be entitled to Black people's money and at the same time you want to treat them the way you want. At least choose one. Treat Black people the way you want, but at the same time don't expect them to come to your shop. Don't expect them to come to your shops. And at the same time, you can expect Black people to come to your shops, but treat them well. Choose one. It can never go your way. That's just what you gotta learn. So all these things are just ways to remind Asians that you still need Black people. All the racist idea that you are ever given about Black people, it is just time for you to understand that you need Black folks. It is high time for you to start recognizing that, right? Somebody said that I'm 70 years old. When I was a kid and a young person, we had all kinds of businesses in the neighborhood. There were corner stores everywhere, bars, barber shop, barbecue restaurants, and restaurants that sold all kinds of fish dinners. Soul food, a fish market, pool halls, clothing stores, shoe stores, nightclubs, recorded stores, dry cleaners, and a music hall where top flight Black artists performed, and a Black-owned and operated newspaper. And all of it was Black-owned. This was the hood and the city's football team practice at the center of a couple of blocks away. So that $2 trillion that we spend a year, I would love to see Black businesses thriving again. And this is just a moment. This is just that moment to use this time to, grow back Black businesses, right? This is just time to use that to grow back Black businesses. It is really, really important to also see that in that way. Somebody said that Asian businesses should be worried when Black folks decide to do something themselves instead of paying for the service. They find a new and improved ways of doing things, even better than the original. I'm excited to see Black folks open more of their own businesses to serve their communities and be extremely successful at it. Let's go, Black people. This is the time. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Right? So, you all know how it goes. You all know the drill. You all know all these things, how they all go. Somebody said that if you all have Chinatowns in every city, Go out there with your businesses. Take your businesses to the suburbs. We need to have more rooms to grow in our own neighborhoods. We need the system to recognize that we need our own licensing. Vote out those that do not help us. That's just an important added topic on it all. A lot of them use the N word and take black folks' money and shooting them in the back and jump on the wagon to try to align with white supremacists. And they actually think boycotting is debatable. Wow, make this make sense. And I said it, and I'm saying it again. You choose one. You either lose the money and treat black people the way you want, or if you can't lose the money, you better start treating black people with some goddamn respect. You need to put some respect on the table. You cannot have it all. That's just how it works. Black Americans are the templates from Muhammad Ali to stop fighting their wars, and from the Montgomery bus boycott to vote with the black dollars. I was so proud when I learned about the green book system set up to navigate safely. We all need to get back to these methods as black socially, financially, and even globally, right? Somebody said that, to be honest, this should never end. Our communities spend more on other communities than our own, and then we complain why stuff isn't done or we feel left out. It's not about you all. It's about us getting stronger and building our own communities, ourselves to be self-sufficient and less dependent on other people who do not like us but love our money. You all can't have it both ways. I told you. Exactly. That's just what I've said. You can't have it all. You gotta choose one. You either give black people the goddamn respect, or you choose not to give black people their own respect. But again, don't expect black people's money. Don't do that, right? So please let me know what you all think about this. As you know, I'm your host and presenter, Agent Restorative. I'm hoping to see you on my next video. Just a reminder, for those who are seeing me for the first time, I'm asking you to please subscribe to the channel, join the membership, and really get to see what I can offer you. For those who are always coming back, watching my videos, man, I'm really, really grateful for all the support that you all give me. I just want to say thank you for all your support. Thank you for your dedicated time. Thank you for everything. Just all I want to say. Until then, let me see you on my next video. Until then, peace, love, and harmony. Salute.